The other thing is another one of my favorite cuts is The Storm, and you talk about the guidelines set by Tukey. And I think too, as we're talking about this framing, this perspective, and you and I off camera have talked about the Black Panthers. We talked about a lot of stuff and guidelines of life. So,
Right.
if you can, or if it makes sense, how can you separate the Crip element from what Tukey was representing as far as making those life lessons that are actually valuable to the non-active member? Like, how does that work now that you're older, if at all?
Well, being a Crip is just identifying yourself with the faction of, what was founded, by Raymond Washington and Tukey, back in 1969. But it's pertinent to street life. It's awareness and survival mode. It's knowing how to maneuver. It's understanding what takes place in different situations and what you should and shouldn't you engage in unless you're prepared for the outcome of this or that. So it's just like different. It's a mindset, like I said, and it's a personal perspective, of course, but I think anybody that, lives in South Central or in the surrounding areas, whether they gang bang or not, they feel the culture of gang banging. It's prevalent in their life in some way or another when they walk to school, when they go get something to eat at the corner burger stand, when they can't go to the corner burger stand because you know what I mean? So you don't really have to be affiliated or associated with Crippin to understand where I'm coming from, but just being that that's really a part of who I am and has been a part of who I am, and I push it now in a more positive perspective because it doesn't have to stay like it was. Companies are, companies that were built, IBM's not the same. They had a big ass computer bigger than this wall behind me, when they came out and it served a small function. Now they got something big as what me and you on right now that can do 100,000 times what that big computer could do. So things change, ways of thinking change. People not, people still say thank God and praise Jesus. What would Jesus do and all that? And Jesus walked around with a robe and sandals. You know what I mean? And ain't nobody finna get down with the robe and sandals out here. So that's something that was you know what I mean? That was something that was them, but they still relate and understand to Jesus walk,
Yeah.
Jesus's walk. But they weren't there. They don't know about the Mesopotamians, or none of that. But they still cling to that, or they still can understand when they see people going to church why they going there and things of that nature. So I'm just saying it's relatable, though you may not be a part of it. You can understand because your uncle might have been, a gang member, blood or crip, your cousin, you might have to go, you might live on 52nd, but you might have to go walk down 49th because those 3 blocks are filled with gangs. So you understand, yeah, you don't get caught slipping, and so it's relatable. It's relatable.
Yeah, I agree. And then with Press the Line is another song, and that has cocaine on there doing it. But the chorus and on the second verse in particular is one of my favorites because you're like stacking the rhymes at the beginning of the second verse. So uh as you do that, as you're like writing and you're able to stack, like I would say, like back in the day, we had Grandmaster Caz would do that, Big Daddy Kane would do that, these greats, Cool G Rap, all these dudes, Cool Mo D. Like when you're doing it
All
yourself.
dope artists you just named.
So when you're doing it yourself, do you sit there like do you feel like a different thing happening to you creatively when you're writing that, or is it just now it's just so natural? Like how is that?
Well, when the producer Jay Massey, he produced the whole album. Shout out to him, most definitely. When he produced that song, he was like, "I hear cocaine on here," you know what I mean? And I was like, "Okay, okay, let me holler at cocaine and see what goes on with him right now. You know, if he want to participate, which you know he always does. My guy, you know what I mean? Real solid dude." And when he sent the hook back, I was like, I gotta go on this one. You know, I'm like, yeah, he did his part. So now I have to do my part. So when that kind of pressure is applied to me, I don't know, I reach deep in the bag of tricks as I can. And you know, I'm a big promoter of style. You know, I like style. Person might not even could rap that good, but if they got style, like for example, not saying he can't rap that good, but in battle rap, Goods is my favorite rapper. Goods is my favorite battle rapper because his style is just unmatched. You feel his I'm the flyest, suavest, you know, the most elegant, flyest. I dig how he presents that. You know, now the dopest would be Rum Nitty, but you know, Goods is my favorites. But it's like, I always try to challenge myself not to be the same. I don't want to write rhymes that you can figure out what the ending line is before I even put
Right.
it together. You know what I mean? And my wife comes from a camp where they used to do that as she comes from COB, Circle of Bosses. So, Dice Man and Crooked Eye, all of, they sit around and, Crooked could finish your verse before you did. It's like, mm, back to the drawing board. So, I like the multi-syllabic rhymes. It's like to take a word and just flip it and play with it. That's a part of the artistry of hip hop that I enjoy being able to place myself in as not just a gangster rapper, but an MC, an actual MC.
Yeah. And speaking with Jay Massey, who I do think did a great job throughout Malice with Press the Line and a couple of other songs, you guys let the beat ride toward the end. Because, as you know, so many songs now are so short, just because I guess how people are making them,
Mm-hmm.
coincidentally or not. But Press the Line, the beat ride's a little more at the end. It's one of the longer songs. So
Right.
what made that song in particular one that you guys wanted to ride out like that?
Well, it was cocaine. He was, he once he get to feeling it, he gonna, he gonna ride on it until he's done. So, I didn't want to cut him short because I invited him on the project and he did an excellent job. And I just went on and let it go. Just, and it got a good feel to it. It make you bounce.
Yeah.
It has a good feel to the jam. So it wasn't hard to leave it cracking.
Okay. Now I
Yeah.
must say one of my favorite beats on Malice is Killer Face. Uh Jay Massey, I think that's probably my favorite beat.
Right.
So I know you've worked with him before, and of course you've worked with dozens of producers over the years. Uh why did you want to work with him specifically on this and then have him do the whole project?
Well, yeah, him, and Cocaine did one of my first songs when I came home called "The Return," and he was also instrumental, very instrumental. He did over half of the Long Beach State of Mind Volume 1 and 2 CDs that I had put together while I was in prison, on the Underground Railroad, and I met him through someone in there, from where he's from, and we developed our own personal relationship. And he always sends me, a dope packet of beats, and I might not feel a couple of them right at that time, but I might listen to it 2 or 3 months later and I'd be in the mood to, to ride on that kind of energy or that kind of vibe. So, you know, he just hit me one day and I was like, yeah, I think I deserve one, to do a whole one. And I thought about it for a minute. I said, you know what? You that dope. I said, you that dope. So let's go. And yeah, he came with it and I came with it and the project is there, you
Okay.
know.
And that
Yeah.
has one of my favorite braggadocious lines, well, flossing so often, leaving puddles when I drip.
That's right. You know me, man. I mean, I'm Long Beach, LA County. That's what we do. They call it Los Angeles. So, if you got to have all the accoutrements, you know what I mean, to be able to shine out here. So to be able to do it for about 3 decades now, it's a real blessing, and I'm really I'm really appreciative of being able to come back out after a whole decade of being gone and reconnect with music like I did, because, I lost my passion for it like the first 5 years because, I had a 12-year sentence and I knew I was going to have to do at least 10 years. And I was like, it was a mountain to climb. So once I got halfway up the mountain, I reacquainted myself with hip hop and slowly worked my way back into it. There, dropped a couple of mixtapes, seeing people were still digging what I was doing. So I came home and put my foot on the gas pedal and I ain't let up.
Well, speaking directly to that on gangster shit, you talk about step past your setbacks and got back to your grind.
Yeah.
So, as a person, uh, there's the reality of getting incarcerated, there's a reality of serving time, then there's a reality of hopefully getting out one day, but then there's the reacclimation to society, and then there's the music industry, and then there's life on top of
Right.
all that.
Right.
So,
Right.
like you said, it's a mountain, and that's if things are going to go well, those things are going to happen and happen on time. So,
Hmm.
throughout your life, dealing with these setbacks and trials and tribulations and mistakes and successes and achievements and failures, how have you found and what's changed on how you approach things when you do have a setback?
Well, thank all praises be to Allah for guiding me to Islam. I became Muslim during my um, last incarceration. Although I was going to masjids before I went to jail, um, because we had the Nation of Islam for our security in like 97 on the Lollapalooza tour, 96, somewhere around there. And, I was always interested in the strength that they presented to the community. So when I start appreciating the blessings I was getting as far as my successes in rap, I wanted to give reverence to God for placing me in that position. So I started looking for, something to be able to show my work, my piety and my worship. So I got ran out a couple of churches, Christian churches, because they, oh, he must be here for some other reason, and it's like I'm not really. So, I wound up at the masjid, went there a few times. Then I still had one foot in the streets though. So when I got caught up and went, I pursued it. And, I became Muslim. And like I said, in 2005, I took my Shahada and, still to this day, pray 5 times a day. I attended Juma like every week, probably missed like 3 or 4 times in 6 years before COVID came and kind of like shook up the proximity, safety, and it's helped me to be able to really, because we move on peace. Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. You know, we begin with that and we end with that. So if you operating under the peace mind state, then you always want things to be smooth. So instead of instead of confrontation, and instead of, you know, just, just wanting to just your ego to just take over and do things like that, you sit back and um you become more um tranquil. You become more tranquil before any move you make. So for me, what has allowed me to go through everything that I went through and be here now and operating differently is definitely becoming Muslim, because before it was just full throttle, whatever. I'm with the whole thing. What we doing, how we doing it, let's do it. And I'm more of a, I thought I was a strategist then, but I'm much more of a strategist and a tactician now, and it helps me organize um and delegate the responsibility of different things to different people who dig doing those kind of things. If you get where I'm coming from, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. You can break that down how you want to, but me and you understand what I'm saying. So,
Yes.
I don't have to be hands on with a lot of things, but like I said, my aim is to move Crip to a whole nother understanding, to where we're unified in, in operations, and unified in ideologies, and it's not this set against that set and these sets against that set. So if we can come together, not that I'm trying to bring everyone together all at once, but just incorporating the process of thinking first, and really and doing for others more than yourself. That's the first thing that we have to get past, because selfishness is the most stagnative characteristic of my peoples. you know
Yeah.